I thank the organizers, including Dr. Amita Maheshwari, for giving me an opportunity to speak. So, my first abstract is the preliminary results of the EORTC 5594 trial. This was presented at the IGCS conference this last year in 2016, and they mainly presented the preliminary results of only the chemotherapy arm. Now, this was a randomized phase 3 trial which looked at neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by surgery versus concomitant chemoradiation in FIGO 1B2, 2A2 tumors and 2B cervical cancers. So multicentric European interventional trial, and the primary outcome was 5-year overall survival. The study started in March 2002 and the projected completion is expected to be in July 2019. So there were two arms. First arm was the neoadjuvant chemotherapy arm, 3 weekly, followed by a conventional radical hysterectomy. The cumulative dose was cisplatin was used in this trial, and the cumulative dose was around 225 milligram per meter square. Patients who had good response underwent a radical hysterectomy within 6 weeks after completion of last dose of chemotherapy. And the criteria for adjuvant radiation included lymph node positivity, parametria positivity, and close margins less than 5 mm. The second arm was the standard concomitant chemoradiation arm. The cumulative dose of cisplatin between 200 to 250 milligram per meter square. Brachytherapy was included, and the total radiation dose was around 75 equivalent at point A. Standard EBRT regimen was given, and this trial allowed adjuvant hysterectomy in case of histologically positive tumor post radiation, but it was not recommended. Now, this trial also will be assessing the quality of life at 6, 12, and 18 and 24 months, and the routine follow-up schedule is there. The projected accrual was around 686 patients, and the significant part in this trial was they included all histological types of cervical cancer. So squamous, adenosquamous, including small cell, all the histological types were included. And it completed accrual in June 2014. And the preliminary results were presented. They managed to randomize 626 patients with equal randomizations of 312 in both arms. Coming to the demography, about 84% of the patients had squamous histology, and majority of the patients, about 57% patients, were in the 2B category. 1B2 had around 26% patients. Total out of 312 patients, 238, that is 76% patients, underwent surgery, and the main reasons for patients not undergoing surgery were treatment-related toxicities in total 7.3% of the total patients in the chemotherapy arm. About 5.4% patients had disease progression, and there was insufficient response to chemotherapy in about 5% of the patients. Now, about more than 93% of the patients had pelvic nodes removed, and 83% patients had a common iliac lymphadenectomy in addition to a pelvic lymph node dissection. Now, coming to the pathological results, 20% patients had parametrial invasion, 13% patients had about positive surgical margins. Pelvic lymph node mets were significantly high. About 27% of the patients in the neoadjuvant chemotherapy arm after chemotherapy had pelvic node positivity, and about 9% of the patients had common iliac lymph nodes positive, and 2.5% had para-aortic lymph nodes positivity, and 22% patients had pathological complete response. Now, these are some of the other trials which have been presented in the which have been using neoadjuvant chemotherapy. One was the SARDIS trial, which looked at tumors less than 4 cm and more than 4 cm. It said that NACT improved survival in tumors which are more than 4 cm. This was another trial by the Penishi group, which said that there is a survival benefit in stages between 1B2 to 2B. This trial had a lot of caveats. This was a Cochrane review, which looked at 6 trials consisting about 1,000 patients, and it concluded that the NSCT was favorable on many outcome measures like the resection rates, the progression-free survival, and the pathological characteristic, but there was no overall survival benefit. This was another review again from the Cochrane group, which looked at 21 randomized trials. They did a meta-analysis. It was basically a 2-part meta-analysis. The one comparison was between NACT RT versus RT, while the second comparison was between NACT surgery and RT. So this has about 800 patients. It said that NACT has survival advantage, but there were some drawbacks of the study. The ratio of events as to patients was very small. They used older chemotherapy regimens were used, and the RT doses were suboptimal. Also, there was no concurrent chemo in the RT group. Now, this is what we are waiting for, the TMH NACT cervix trial. This is the another large randomized control trial, the results of which we are awaiting. So to conclude, the EORTC trial is still the largest randomized trial in cervical cancer, which is comparing neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by radical hysterectomy to standard arm. And the preliminary data indicates that in the surgical arm, the short-term toxicity due to chemotherapy has influenced further treatment. But we should wait for the complete results of the EORTC and the TMH NACT cervix trial before taking any opinion on the role of neoadjuvant chemotherapy in locally advanced cervical cancer. So this is my second abstract, which was presented at the ASCO meeting in 2016 and then published in GYN Oncology last year. So it looked at whether extended field RT could reduce the risk of distant metastasis in advanced cervical cancer. So the main aim of the meta-analysis was to evaluate the role of extended field RT with results with respects to the loco-regional failure, the incidence of distant metastasis, the para-aortic failure, and then the cervical cancer related deaths. They hypothesized that it's probably the reduction in para-aortic failure improves the distal control because the loco-regional control is the same. So this was a meta-analysis. It included only phase 3 trials, and they searched PubMed, Central, and the clinical trial database, and they included all studies from 1960 to 2015 in all languages were included. The inclusion criteria were all patients had to be treated with standard pelvic radiotherapy, and all patients had to receive the same systemic therapy, and then they were randomized to either receiving extended field RT or not receiving extended field RT. The studies were evaluated using a 3-scale level according to the Cochrane Handbook for Systematic Review of Interventions to remove the bias. Odds ratio and confidence intervals were calculated. They found about total of 1309 articles were screened, but out of that only 6 randomized trials were selected. Out of the 6 randomized trials, they eliminated 2 studies. One was with the RTOG 9001 study, and the one more randomized trial by DO was eliminated. So they found overall only 4 studies which qualified all the inclusion criteria. They were mainly the EORTC and the RTOG study, which were 2 large studies, and then there was one more study by the Osaka University. So the only difference was the Osaka University study and the RTOG had only early stages. That is, they had stages only up till 2B, while the EORTC and the study from the Changzheng University had stages from 1B to stage 3 and stage 4 as well. So total they got about 1,000 patients from 4 randomized controlled trials, and about 500 patients were allocated to the standard pelvic irradiation arm, and 494 patients received standard pelvic radiotherapy, and in addition to that they also received the extended field RT. Majority of the patients who were treated had a documented prophylactic para-aortic radiation. That is, they either had a PET positivity or they had a there is no comment on how many of them underwent a surgical para-aortic lymphadenectomy. Bias risk was nearly about 80%. The results, they showed the extended field RT showed a significant decrease in the para-aortic failure rate and also in the incidence of distant metastasis in the extended field RT arm. There was no difference in the pelvic loco-regional relapse. This was expected because both of the arms received the same treatment in the pelvic region. And there was a tendency towards a decrease in the death from cancer in the extended field RT arm. Coming to the techniques, the para-aortic RT was given by 2D conformal RT in about three studies, and only one study used the standard conformal 3D CRT, which is the more advanced form of technique. The EORTC and the RTOG trial, there was an increase in the grade 5 toxicity due to extended field RT, but this was not statistically significant. And there were more bone fractures recorded in the extended field RT arm of the Osaka trial, but the EORTC trial did not show these findings. There are some thoughts which have to be pondered upon. The CT, MRI and PET scan, all imaging modalities, they have failed poorly to detect para-aortic nodal mets. Though some retrospective studies have shown that surgical para-aortic lymphadenectomy is beneficial, but there are no randomized trials to say that it is a standard of care. We have to wait for the LILIACS and the Uterus 11 trial to say that we have to subject every patient to a para-aortic lymph node staging. And definitely there have been improvements in the RT techniques, in the RT dose, which could probably reduce toxicity with the extended field RT. The main drawbacks of the study were there was lack of information on individual patients, so you couldn't do a subgroup analysis from this data. Also, there was absence of trials which directly compared pelvic radiation with the extended field RT with standard cisplatin chemotherapy. So the chemotherapy schedules were different. 2 of the trials did not use chemotherapy. And also, because of the older radiotherapy techniques, probably the toxicities such as bone fractures were more in the extended field RT group. To conclude, the authors said that the extended field RT reduces systemic, both the para-aortic and the non-para-aortic failures, and the value of extended field RT should be tested in the setting of modern radiotherapy techniques and using standard chemotherapy regimens. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit.